Hello, everybody. It is time for the highly anticipated results of the carrot seeding and germination test. I was originally going to wait until all of these carrots were mature and ready for picking, but they're close enough now, and really, I already have the results that I was looking for. Now, you can go back and watch the first video where I detailed all of these planting methods, but just as a quick recap, earlier this spring, I was looking for a method of sowing carrots that A, helped improve and speed germination, and B, helped reduce the amount of thinning that I needed to do. So in this bed, I have 8 different methods that I was testing, plus several control plots. I mixed carrot seed with sand and broadcast sowed them. I did a do-it-yourself seed tape. I covered newly sown seeds with a board, with burlap, with cardboard, and with little mini greenhouses. I pre-germinated seeds and planted them on paper towels, and I tested out mixing seeds into a cornstarch gel slurry kind of mixture. So let me show you how each of these methods did. I planted or started sprouting seed on April 3rd, and just shy of a month later, all 8 tests and the control plantings were up. No surprise, the pre-germed seeds on a paper towel were the very first to sprout up within a week of planting. But the germination was spotty. By the 15th, the control group and the seeds covered with the mini greenhouses or cloches had sprouted. By the 16th, the seeds covered with a board were barely up, and the seed sowed with sand had germinated. By the 18th, the seeds covered with the burlap and the cardboard had sprouted. And last to join the party on the 22nd was the do-it-yourself seed tape and the seeds sown in a cornstarch gel mixture. So in terms of helping me get a jump start on germination in cool weather, only the pre-germed seed gave me the real advantage. A fast forward to mid-June. First, the seed broadcast sown with sand. This was sown way too thick. The rate of sand versus seed appears to need increased drastically to make this a viable option. Second, the do-it-yourself seed tape. You can see even more distinctly how sporadic this germination was here, which is sad because in the places where it worked, the spacing is nearly perfect. In hindsight, I'd use thinner, cheaper toilet paper, which I expect would yield better results. The next several groups, the control, seed covered with a board, seeds covered with a cloche or mini greenhouse, and seed covered with cardboard and burlap, all look pretty similar. The cardboard group looks like I may have seeded a little more densely in spots, but that's human error. The pre-germed seed on paper towels is the biggest disappointment of the whole test for me. This had very sporadic germination, but then the carrots did this weirdness. My suspicion is that the paper towel was too thick for them to grow down into, so they grew upward instead. Rather than use paper towel in the future, I'd like to try the pre-germed seed on the cheap, thin toilet paper. And finally, the cornstarch gel test was the one I was most excited to see the results of. Sadly, this didn't help speed initial germination or help with the spacing of the seed. It actually seemed like the seed clumped together in groups, making it more difficult to thin carrots, as there were so many in each clump. Now, I ended up having to hand thin most of these plantings in spite of my efforts to avoid it, the only exceptions being the do-it-yourself seed tape and the paper towel test, which were very sparse. As I mentioned, the cornstarch gel actually seemed to make my task of thinning more difficult, and the seed which was broadcast sown with sand was by far the most tedious. So tedious, in fact, that I gave up and never did complete the thinning of that patch. It is now July 9th, and the carrots are very close to being fully mature. I'm starting to harvest these, trying to pull out the largest carrots first, saving the smaller ones for later pickings. Let me show you a little more of that weirdness in the pre-germed paper towel group. But other than these, all the other groups look, and more importantly, taste great. So for my early spring plantings, I will probably just stick to my normal sowing, or covering my seeds with the little greenhouses or humidity domes when the weather is particularly cool. However, I am considering replicating this test for my fall carrots. So typically with fall carrots, I sow anywhere from mid-July to kind of the first week in August. And it can be very challenging for opposite reasons from the spring, in that it is very hot, it is very dry, sometimes too hot and dry for carrot seeds to germinate. So I am very curious if I will get better results with something like the covering with a board, which I have done before with my summer plantings, or even the cornstarch slurry. I think that this whole test may act very differently with a summer planting versus an early spring planting. So if you'd be interested in seeing this tested out in the summer season, drop a line in the comments below and let me know. And if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel, Growfully with Jenna. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.